Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for being here. I appreciate your time. At the moment, I am leading enterprise bargaining for the university. It's not a lot of fun, but one thing that is all of the discussions are around is AI and fear and anxiety that it's embedding in our workplaces, because it's going to change everything. And people say academic jobs are going to be gone, professional staff jobs are going to be gone. And for folks, there's something in that around the change that is here and is coming at a really fast pace. AI can generate an essay in seconds. It can produce a curriculum in lightning speed and come up with some really great research hypotheses. So I want to illustrate to you some of the fear and anxiety and why it may be in place. So I have a 90-second video. This is not me, by the way. Oh, here we go. Okay.
Let's begin by paying our respects to the Wurundjeri people as the traditional custodians of the land upon which we are enjoying the conference today. Now, I would like to introduce myself. I am Julie's AI twin that she developed in 15 minutes on her phone. Okay, to start the session, please imagine we are 10 years into the future, in the year 2035. I think you would agree that Julie has aged very well over the last decade, but her lectures and materials certainly haven't. Julie is no longer the knowledge expert, imparting wisdom to her students, as they have unlimited access to information and data from online sources. Nowadays, her role as an educator is focused on being a curator of knowledge as well as a guide to help her students navigate AI-generated content. As a researcher, lots has changed for Julie. AI handles repetitive tasks such as data collection, analysis, coding, transcription, and even drafts her academic papers. She assumes the role of research architect, concentrating on developing research questions, interpreting results, and integrating interdisciplinary insights. As you can tell, over the last 10 years, Julie has embraced lifelong learning, not just taught it. That's it for today. I'll now hand back to my twin.
It's pretty cool, isn't it? But yeah, not me. Easy to produce something like that, and I'm not reading it out. I just type in script that I want to show, and it'll come up. It just surfs internet photos of you. It is really astounding. So what does the future look like for academics when you look at AI twins? Are they going to be avatars? What's it going to be? So history provides us a little bit of perspective. So if you go back to what an academic is, it comes from the Greek word academius, which was the garden in which Plato developed the school of philosophy back in 387 BCE. And so an academic was a facilitator of learning. And that was a place of learning, and that's what it is. Now, I believe in this rapidly changing world with AI twins and avatars, that foundation remains. That is our constant. Academics are facilitators of learning. Now, there's parallels that you can see. If you think about when the calculator was introduced back in the early 70s, I'm showing my age a little bit, I remember it. It was banned in schools and calculators were banned in universities. People called them machine cheats. The concern was that it was going to hinder the development of numerical skills. And let's face it, it hasn't done that. We have learned our maths, but it's allowed us to be more, do more complicated maths questions and to operate at speed. The point I want to make is AI is a tool, just like the calculator is a tool, and the purpose of academia being a facilitator of learning remains. A conveyor of wisdom remains. So I'd be encouraging people to think about it as a tool. So in the next 10 minutes, I'm going to make some provocations to you about education research. Now, I limit the scope because of time constraints around those two aspects of academic work. There's so many more implications, and maybe we can pick up some of these in the Q&A. So starting with education. No longer are academics the producers of knowledge, the knowledge expert. That went away 20 years ago when Wikipedia and Google became mainstream. Well, it should have gone away 20 years ago when they became mainstream. Students have access, they've got smartphones, they've got Wi-Fi, they've got knowledge all around them. They can get knowledge, they can get this expertise faster than it takes to log into the learning management system of a university and download the PowerPoint slides. So AI has changed this. AI has meant that not only can they get all of this knowledge, it means that it can summarize that knowledge. It can get one of those boring academic articles, they don't exist really, but long books, boring academic articles, and it will synthesize it and it will summarize it in a second or even 2 seconds. So it does take us to a new level. So the academic as the facilitator of learning, not the lecturer. Lectures are dead, as you can see by the tombstone there. We can't be just sharing knowledge to facilitate. It means we've got to focus on critical thinking. Facts are cheap. Critical thinking is priceless. And we're no longer those, as I said, the gatekeeper of knowledge. There's a lot of information about it. There's a lot of junk in AI as well. So a lot of people don't realise when you go to ChatGPT, and if you haven't got a subscription model, you know all of those people who are LinkedIn thought leaders? It picks up all of that junk as well. So what our job is to teach judgment to a student, or a learner, I should say. Teach them how to critique, how to critically think, how to evaluate the quality of all of that knowledge that is out there. Teach them how to navigate that. So let me just give you an example of how ChatGPT can be used. So I've just got the unsubscribe model on my laptop here. Okay, ask it anything. So I'm an ex-MBA teacher. I'm going to put in here to develop corporate finance course outline. Oops, spelling error. Course outline for MBA students. Something like this would have taken me about a week to do in the past. And that would be all of the readings, or probably more if you were going to design all of the assessment. And look, here it is. All the learning outcomes, module 1, module 2. Wow. And you go down and you get the assessments, and you can just continue to ask for more. You can ask for readings, whatever you want, couple of seconds. Now, I did this and I compared this to some of the course outlines at some of our GO8 universities, some of the best universities, and they're within about 80% of the same. It's amazing. It really is. So it is a good first draft is what I'd suggest. So coming back to our role, what do we then do? Where do we go as teachers? And it links back to the last presentation. It's about that connection with students and more of the mentoring as the facilitator of learning. So when I was teaching, I had this course I used to teach, and it was about problem solving in industry. And we would get industry into the classroom, and we would have students working in small groups to solve business problems. And you do one-on-one coaching and mentoring with the students, you do small groups. Now, I can imagine a situation where my AI twin would do some work with those students, where they talk to them about the course, they talk to them about the assignment, what to expect. And then I'd imagine that there would be some small group coaching, 3 or 4 student individual coaching, and then how to facilitate conversations with the end user. So the company that they were solving the problem with. So that is the sort of facilitator of learning. That's where all the extra time goes, not designing the curriculum. It goes into that connection with the student. I'll just give you one example of this, because we were working with New South Wales buses for this course I was sketching. New South Wales buses had a big terminus at Redfern. And at the time, Redfern was not, there was a high crime, high vandalisation of the buses. So they came to us, I was at UNSW at the time, and they said, I want students to work on solving this problem because we've put a lot of security in and the buses are still getting vandalised overnight. We've put unbreakable glass and they're still getting wrecked. So they're getting spray canned or they're getting shattered. Everything we did, we can't get the buses and we can't get the safety, and we're spending an absolute load of money. We've tried consultants, we can't do it. So the students came up with something unique, really creative. They said, this was quite a while ago now, but they said, put photos of the local football heroes on the bus. Big spray painting images of the heroes, and it went pretty much down to nothing. They didn't vandal the buses anymore. So what I did, I put into ChatGPT, how do you solve this problem? Nothing like that came up. Nothing creative, because ChatGPT is looking for trends and things that have already occurred. So at the moment, it doesn't have that type of element. So that mentoring and the connection with students is something that you can inspire in a really human to human way that you can't necessarily do with ChatGPT. All right, so let's move on. What about research? What does it mean for research? I'd like to concentrate in 2 areas. First, automation of research, and the second about the interdisciplinary nature of research that AI enables. Academics publish in narrow research areas with a slow output cycle. We all know this, they've done this for many, many years. So let's have a look. This is a paper that I wrote. It was published in 2017. It was published in the #1 journal of my field. I just want to tell you a bit of a story about how we wrote that paper. So it was a 20-year reflection on the literature and the research techniques and statistical tools used to in causal analysis. So it was all the papers that said management practices result in superior bottom line to a firm over 20 years. So that was we wanted to see if our methods were becoming more sophisticated and if there really was a causal relationship. So how do we do that? Okay, 4 authors. We had to get, well, what journals are we going to look at? So we only want to look at the top 20 journals in the field. So we had to come up with some sort of way of measuring which was a top 20 journal. So impact factor types of measures. Then 2 of us read every single abstract of every paper in those top 20 journals to see if it came into like a causal relationship between management and firm outcomes. Then, and there was over 500 papers. Then what we did, we had to do an inter-rater reliability because I could have made a mistake, this person didn't, so we did it separately, and then the 3rd author came in and made a decision on one way. We ended up down around, just say, 300 papers. Then we had to produce a spreadsheet. massive spreadsheet. This is all done manually. All the papers are downloaded and everything. And we came up with about 20 odd factors of statistical tools that should be in place if there's a causal relationship. And then we read every single paper in the methods section and ticked or crossed if that statistical tool was in place. The paper was accepted after a few reviews, and then we had to keep going back and updating because it was getting old for the 20 years. It was put in print 2.5 years after we finished writing it. I would estimate that I spent 1,000 hours on that paper. 1,000 hours for one paper, where I'm one of 4 authors. So if I was to do that paper now with AI, I reckon it'd be less than 20% of that time. It's a huge reduction in time, and it'd probably be more accurate in terms of the ratings and whatnot. So AI allows us to clean data, check grammar, proofread, do all of these sorts of mundane tasks, and then it frees up time for us to do other stuff. I think this is what the really exciting bit is. Are we asking the right research questions? Are we thinking of the end user? Are we integrating with industry? So AI gets the patterns. Academics should be disrupting those patterns. So you could get really concerned about this. That's an 80% reduction in time. So what are we doing? I get to the next point about interdisciplinary research, which AI is an enabler for us to be doing. So we can ask better questions. So here's a project that's currently going on, led out of an Australian research team. How can AI detect mental health issues in adolescents from social media? Big issue, isn't it? It's a really big issue. It's a big issue for government, big issue for policy. We look at the last presentation and we talk about student wellbeing. So the research objective, to develop a system that can identify early signs of depression, anxiety, could even be suicidal ideation, based on a person's social media activity. So it helps come up with an early intervention. Now, if you weren't using AI, your sample size would be small. With AI, the population isn't. You're not limited to a population. So imagine asking this sort of research question and being able to do it at scale. It requires computer science academics to develop machine learning and algorithms that read social media posts, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, whatever the latest things are. It requires psychologists to understand what are the early warning signs of could be suicide, anxiety, depression, what are they? It requires linguistic academics to what are the cues, what are the metaphors, what are the words, what is the tone, how are they put? That could be a trigger. You've got public health people, public health academics that can design interventions so that we can come in and put in place some support around the person. And it also, there's others. There's law and privacy. There's probably economists in there, because I think economists rule the world. But there's law and privacy people too, to make sure we're not violating privacy, censorship, people underage. So that's a really exciting proposition to be able to do that. Can't do it without AI. So I believe that AI becomes the glue in interdisciplinary research. It allows us to do things that we didn't think were possible. And if you think about academics, why are they in silos? Why do they navigate to your area? There's 2 reasons. The first one is all of the incentives push you that way. You've got to get published in your journals, and you get promoted that way. And the 20 people who read that paper, doesn't matter. So the other reason is because it's too hard to cross over disciplinary lines. The walls between disciplines are cement rendered and double brick. And industry don't care about the way we configure universities. They want the problem to be solved. So we can work on much more complicated problems with societal impact if we start to use some of these tools. So just a couple of examples. So you can manage really large and diverse data sets. So as an example, you could use AI to correlate data from environmental science with migration patterns, social science, and economic outcomes. That sounds pretty interesting. You can translate between disciplines. Say, for instance, and this is a pretty topical area, you could analyse publications in climate science and political theory, and AI might suggest research questions around policy modelling under environmental uncertainty. Or, it allows you to accelerate at speed so you save wasted time, different hypothesis generation. So predict how urban design and architecture affects human behaviour, psychology, and energy use. So we need to pivot as academics. We need to adapt to the new tool, and we need to continue to remember that we're facilitators of learning. That's what it's all about for us. So there's a couple of enduring elements for academics that I don't think will change. And I think we've got to really promote the value that we add in terms of these elements. So the first, the pursuit of truth, wherever it takes us. In an era of fake news, AI processes data that is already available. It doesn't care about the truth. So really important, pursuit of truth. And also, we have an obligation to learn, to promote learning. And that's not just through teaching, that's through research, that's through discovery. That goes back to Plato. That hasn't changed. And AI may stimulate answers, but it can't inspire the way an academic does when they open a learner's mind for the first time. You know that professor, that academic, that high school teacher, primary school teacher, that inspired you? That was about that human connection. Human connection. That's what we're going to get from person to person, not through ChatGPT to student. But remember that connection. There's so many links to the last presentation. Also, as an academic, we have the responsibility to teach how to challenge, how to influence, how to role model the asking of questions. And we have a responsibility to challenge uncomfortable questions that are there to disrupt world thinking. So look, just to sum up, AI is one of our best assistants. Look at it as an assistant and a helper. Move away from that knowledge generator. It's no longer there. Think about the role as the conveyor of wisdom, because wisdom can't be automated. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Questions? Very nice.
Hi, Billy.
Hi, Eric.
Hey. So we heard from Damien his general secretary, and he sort of made the comment something like, "We're not sure we're getting AI's business leading issue." And just given your negotiators in the price group, I just wondered how you're thinking about that, how the unions think about that.
Yeah. Oh, really worried. They're very worried.
Yeah.
So what we're seeing is in bargaining at the moment, weekly meetings of 5 hours, is the unions asking for any AI changes, any automation, got to get approval, want job security. So that's the position that I'm hearing from the unions. They're very concerned about job security.
And so from your perspective, thinking about that there are some things that are
Yeah.
how do you begin to create a negotiating agreement for employment relations.
Yeah, well,
Maybe you can't say.
yeah, no, I won't talk about our context, but it's for me, it's about making sure that our academic staff are developing and have the skills to pivot to this new way. If they're following the old way, sage on the stage, they're going to become obsolete. Students are walking with their feet, they're not showing up. So having that new model will be a way of retaining our students and ensuring job security. Because if you've got students, you've got job security. So I can't urge enough how important professional development in this context is for all staff. I think that we can't compete with it. I mean, you talk about assessment, and some universities are developing a whole lot of teams of people to track whether ChatGPT is being used in assignments and things like that. It's a waste of time because we can't compete with it. We have to change the assessment. So we have to really embrace it and look at it from the benefits. I think that we would be irresponsible if we let unions slow us down in terms of trying to adjust to this, as I said, this new tool.
John?
Obviously, the uptake with this sort of stuff, both from the technical skills used and then the literacy to use as well, varies greatly. How's the institution navigating the varying speeds of uptake across academics and particularly across schools?
Look, I don't think that there's a lot of that at the moment. I do probably, like everyone here in the room, get invited all the time. Come to this AI workshop, come to this all the time. It's amazing. I think it needs to be much more defined, much more scoped in. There's just too much broad stuff. So for instance, on that, my AI twin, which I showed you, that was just all self-taught. I find that it's, so where is it? So I find...
Everyone, let's begin by paying our respects to the Wurundjeri people as the traditional custodians of the land upon which we are enjoying the conference today.
Yeah, really easy to do.
So then, say you're at the higher end and you've got academics at the lower end. How do you maintain a consistent product? How do you maintain a consistent product and consistent delivery across the institution?
Yeah, and that's true, because if you don't have any guardrails in place, people will run off. You know, the innovators, the early adopters will run at speed. And so TEXA is requiring all universities to have AI councils and AI policies in place now. And so that's it, that we don't have any choice but to do that. So you want to harness those who want to play with it, but not, not sort of impede too much of it. But when you look at that, how did I do that? So it's not me reading that script. I could type in another script and it could say anything. Now it's dangerous too, isn't it? And because there's been quite a few celebrities that have that their AI twin is promoting products and goods and people are buying them, but it's not really there. So there's a whole lot of risk and danger and ethical usage in this type of stuff that we need to work through.
Scarlett Johansson in AI 3.5 when she launched it, but didn't.
Yeah.
So,
actually, how do we incentivize both academic and professional staff to embrace and use AI in a climate when often with extremely heavy workloads and are just trying to do the best we can with what we have?
Yeah.
There's a huge learning curve.
There's huge. Yeah, there's a lot to do. And I think what we've got to do is just start to implement it in a staged way and show the benefits and make those benefits real salient. And all for many decades, that's what the banks did to get people onto ATMs. You know, they didn't want people in tellers. They had ATMs there, you could use it, they show it, you didn't have to line up, and then over a sudden you got the adoption through. So we can't work at that pace though. It's got to be a faster pace, but show the benefits. show what an automated form looks like and how quickly it can be responded to. And then all in our comms, we need to talk about it, show it, and have champions. And I think that that's really the only way we do it. But at the end of the day, the sustainability of our universities really depends on us getting more productive, more efficient in how we do things. So there's a big incentive, I think, for universities and staff at universities to get up to speed.
Good. So they've been sort of.
Just on research papers, and the stuff you showed was pretty cool. Do you think initially that the quality of the research papers will go up or down? Was that like a curve where people are figuring out and receiving it until it then until the journals catch up to say, well, how can we catch?
I'd be pleased. That's such a good question.
Yeah.
Does anyone else in the audience want to have a guess at that? I really wouldn't know.
Well, I guess the issue that's been raised is the rapid proliferation of junk papers
Yeah.
to the large language models.
Yes.
So it's already been showing that since ChatGPT, the volume of just crap research
Yeah.
papers, and in part because of the predatory system around some academic publishing models and the growth of journals. So I think the evidence as it stands today is that generative AI is negative for research in terms of it's just enabling, let's say, less scrupulous academics to just churn more papers. So I think, at least at the moment,
That'd be fair.
Except they're easier to detect.
Yeah.
Like QUT, Adrian Barnett does a lot of stuff on this. They're easy to detect, but also the entire publishing model is going to collapse. Of the big five for-profit journal models, they're gone in the medium term. I think they know it. You said that last question.
Well, it's actually a slight variation of what I think about the Gen 2. Given that not AI can only write papers, we can read papers at a scale that a traditional academic just can't do.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts about the future of academic publishing? Is there a need, given that AI can just scan every academic's blog?
Yeah.
You don't
Well,
need
it's already doing that, and that's in the unsubscribed ChatGPT, and it's coming out with everything from good stuff to junk and all the rest of it. It comes down to that about the importance of judgment. Importance of judgment. You take a risk because you're reading the crazy thought leader on LinkedIn as well as the good, rigorous academic article. So you've got to be able to teach what's the quality of this information, how good is it, what sort of data sources, can I test this? That judgment is, it becomes so important, probably one of the most important things that you can teach your students.
I fear saying this, but stand by for ARC accredited journals.
Oh, yes, yes.
I don't have time.
Yeah, I agree with that, yeah.
Productivity.
Yeah.
Is this going to be just a lot of stuff, or is this a renaissance? Is it going to create fields of research that we haven't even thought of?
Yeah, it already is. It already is. Absolutely.
Example?
Well, the example that I gave around social media and looking for patterns of anxiety and depression in adolescents. How fantastic. We'd never be able to do that at scale with good sample size without AI. It's already doing it.
That requires vast amounts of existing data to do that.
Yes.
What about in more theoretical disciplines? What about in economics?
Yeah.
Are there a bunch of people who can pull it together to use the data
Yeah.
to create equilibriums that no one's thought of?
Yes. Yes. Yep. And it's happening.
I think I'll sit down.
And there's if you think about the pandemic, and the pandemic had a very health lens on recommendations different states and so on adopted. And you would see a lot of economists wanted to have a seat at the table and part of that. And initially that they weren't. But it really required public health, psychology, because we didn't think about the mental health outcomes. We thought about the physical outcomes. In terms of, getting sick. We should have had logistic academics, a part of it, whole lot of, and so we've seen now some people are looking at data from COVID and responses in different countries from COVID and what was successful and what wasn't successful. So looking back on that, and I imagine that we'll start to see some emerging theories, particularly in economics.
So, imagine if I was a level A academic, go from promotion to level B in like 12 months' time, what do you think I should be focusing on now, given that so much of these metrics might be changing for the next 12 months?
Look, if you're a level A, get your PhD.
Oh yeah, sorry.
You need your PhD to get to a level B. It depends what university you're at, frankly, but I'd be looking at having and developing a bit of a track record of innovation in terms of your teaching and some innovation in terms of your research. So that would be my, show that you're a bit of a trailblazer and that you test, respond to feedback, and then do something differently. Yeah.
That was terrific. That really was terrific.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you.
So the look, and you get the penultimate. I'm sorry, we missed a question.
I was just wondering, I'm not an academic, I'm not a but I was just curious to know, given that AI is obviously rapidly used, how is that influencing your university's what it chooses to teach? For example, like an obvious maybe example in parallel is like mechanics take courses now have to be more electrically focused because of 2020 2035 sort of like is it something that are we just gonna have to be a bit more reactive? But I suppose like if we're selling a 7-year, 8-year course to somebody who will have to sort of
Indeed.
outcomes and what the job scope is like.
Yeah, look, you're so right. I have a law degree, and even I studied that a number of years ago, we had evolving technology in law. So I've seen it very much part of the curriculum. Where I am at ACU, we have a technology and social spine through everything. It's not an add-on, it's through everything. So I mean, you've just got to be contemporary. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much.